You are listening to the Wandering Chronicles podcast. I'm Ashley.
I'm Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
I don't know why I said that like I'm an old tugboat. Hi, Jamie.
That's okay.
I'm an old tugboat.
I've heard that about you.
I've seen it written on bathroom walls.
Your reputation precedes you.
I'm an old tugboat.
Well, I do happen to live on the Mississippi, so...
That's true.
We have tugboats here.
And I know a dog named Tugboat.
That is a great dog name.
He's just like a really cool dog. But the cute thing about Tugboat is that when Lexi was first learning how to talk, she called him Bugboat.
That's cute. What kind of dog is Tugboat?
Golden Lab.
Oh, not what I pictured.
What were you thinking?
I was picturing a pug. I'm assuming the tug-pug connection.
Oh, okay. That would have been really cute, too. Yeah, he's a golden lab.
It's pretty cute.
Tugboat's a really cute dog, is what I'm saying. All right, well, I'm just gonna sidestep my way into Dubuque, Iowa.
Speaking of Iowa.
So I'm gonna just crab walk my way to Iowa.
Crab walk?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna take a tugboat, since you mentioned it.
Yeah, just go right up the river. It's right there.
Yeah, I mean, I can just hop a boat and live the old Huck Finn lifestyle.
Aw, that'll be sweet. Could just ride the raft with another person. Or with, like, Nigel. Oh.
I didn't say anything about a raft. I would not go on a raft in the Mississippi River. There are bull sharks in that motherfucker.
Oh, that's true.
Plus, lots of gross stuff.
I guess it's not as clean as it was during, oh god.
Huck Finn.
No, what was the author's name?
Mark Twain.
Thank you. I kept wanting to say Charles Dickens for some reason.
I only know that because I googled it very recently after getting made fun of for calling him Tom Sawyer. So, I didn't read that stuff as a child. Oh.
No, I don't.
I was too busy reading Stephen King.
You made the right choice.
The real classics.
Alright, so I'm just gonna jump right into this. You took a tugboat to Dubuque. I crab walked from Chicago. I'll see you there in like 3 weeks.
I bet I beat you. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not a very fast crab walker. It's gonna be a while.
I love that you know that about yourself.
I'm gonna scuttle my way over there.
Oh, that makes me think of Reagan from The Exorcist.
Yep, I'm scuttling. I'm just scuttling my way to Dubuque.
Fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I am gonna say this a lot in episodes. I rarely know much about places. I just don't pay attention. Even if I've been to a place, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that about it. Because I have the memory of a gnat. We'll record this and I will forget the next day what we said.
We were talking about that before we hit record.
Yeah.
The episode that you referenced something that happened in an episode that's been up already, and I was like, I have no memory of that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a memory recording it, and I didn't have a memory after I listened to it either.
Yeah. I won't remember this, and yeah. So, everything is new to me every single day.
Yeah, there are 2 episodes that we have already released where you tell me, in all seriousness, that you share a birthday with Mr. T, and both times my reaction is like, oh, wow. And I just fucking bet you that will happen again.
Oh, I'm gonna wait a couple weeks and I'm gonna just slip it in there again and see what happens.
We'll see.
We'll see. Wait. Well, I'm gonna give it some time.
I would say more than a couple weeks because now I've identified that I've done it, and it will take me a little longer to forget it, but I will.
It's kind of
forget it.
It's kind of like when I was the receptionist at my current job, and I used to like have people ask me what so-and-so's extension so they could call them from the lobby phone, and I would just give them their own extension to see if they would call their own phone. Happened a number of times where people would be like halfway into calling it, or they'd get the voicemail and they'd be like, you just told me my own extension. I'm like, yeah, I did. And there's one person who I used to do it regularly to him. Yeah, I used to do it regularly to one guy, and he fell for it the first time, and every other time I did it to him, he'd look at me like, I know that's my extension. What's the extension I asked for?
Fool me once.
Shame on me. Fool me. Oh, wait, shame on you. Whatever. I don't know things.
You bailed so fast on that.
I made the right choice, okay?
I think you did too.
Okay. So
Let's go to Dubuque.
yeah, let's learn about Dubuque and not how I like to fuck with people. It's just so much fun. So much fun. And I feel like an asshole.
Sometimes
So-
you feel like an asshole.
Sometimes you don't.
All Minjoys got assholes. Mounds don't.
Okay. Okay. That was amazing. I wish I hadn't laughed in between. That was amazing. Okay.
You fucking ruin everything. You ruin everything.
Thanks, Dad!
Okay, let's talk about Iowa.
Okay. So, today I'm going to be talking about Dubuque, Iowa's absolutely stunning street murals and how it has brought a new symbiotic relationship between the arts and the community at large.
Fun.
So,
this is a fun new type of episode.
Well, gotta bring some culture to this podcast.
Yeah.
Literally, because that's the
Who knew
subject
we would
today.
find it in Iowa?
I mean, I will be the first to admit this is not what I expected from Iowa, but damn, these are some beautiful murals and I cannot wait to hear your reactions to them.
I'm excited!
Yay! Me too. So, I know the first question you're going to ask is, how did this project get started, right? Like,
Well, I was
how did it
gonna
get
ask
started?
about funding, but
I mean, I didn't research that part.
yes, I was just trying to think of something else. Because I'm an asshole.
I'm an asshole!
Theo!
Alright, so,
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get myself a 1967 Cadillac Eldorado convertible. Hot pink! With whale skin hubcaps and all leather cow interior and big brown baby seal eyes for headlights. Yeah! I'm gonna drive around in that baby at a mile per gallon, sucking down greaseball burgers from the old fashioned non-biodegradable quarter pounder blah blah blah. I forget.
okay, I'm just going to cut you off there.
When I'm done sucking down those greaseball burgers, I'm gonna wipe my mouth with the American flag, and I'm gonna throw those styrofoam containers right off the side, and there ain't a goddamn thing anyone can do about it. You know why? Because we got the bombs. That's why. Nuclear fucking weapons.
Appropriate. Thank you.
Hi, neighbors. Dennis Leary was not living in the Cold War.
No.
Like we currently are.
No. So yeah. All right. So I know the first question you're going to ask is, how did this project get started? That is a very, very good question. It was started in 2005 by Voices from the Warehouse as an annual transformation of warehouses into art gallery / installation spaces. Why are you smiling?
Izzy.
I know. She's just somewhere in the world meowing. I don't even know where she is right now. She's somewhere out there.
She's
Like
singing the
Fievel.
song
She's
over
somewhere out
people.
there. Yeah, she's just
That
doing
song
her
makes
thing.
me cry. Don't do that.
I know.
You
I
can't
cry
speak
every
of that
time.
song, it makes me cry.
I can't even talk about that movie. That movie makes me cry. Crybaby over there. One of the
good
organizers, Sam. What?
That's a good idea.
Okay. One of the. Yes, I think so too. It's a really good use of space. Fuck you, man.
I was trying to be supportive. And you're like, okay. I'll just not talk. You don't need me for this, do you?
I do. I really do. Okay. One of the organizers, Sam Mulgrew, describes those shows as similar to just set design. So it's kind of an interesting way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
The idea to take art outside into the streets was born from a desire to create a different type of experience for both viewer and the downtown historic district where the majority of the murals can be found. Quoting Mulgrew, "We just thought it would be fun to take the art out into the streets and see if we could have a transformative experience on the street. In this case, the historic and cultural corridor downtown, Main Street. We just wanted to transform the urban experience in Dubuque, Iowa, by presenting art that is totally democratic in form because it's not requiring anybody to be anything in particular. They don't have to enter a gallery or museum to see it. All they have to do is be a pedestrian.
That's smart.
Yeah. I mean, art is for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Art has always been for everybody, and it shouldn't be locked up. It should be enjoyed by everybody.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good way to get people to explore the town, maybe visit the shops,
Interact with the surroundings.
Yeah.
It's a good way for artists to get their art out there in a really large scale that people can really enjoy and hopefully look up other pieces of their art that they've done.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I'm not going to talk about the history too much because I would like to spotlight some of the artists that have murals in this town. And to be fair, many of them have done more than one mural. What drew me to this particular subject was that the project that Voices has run has artists from all over the world coming to paint on their buildings. All of the murals that they have helped produce are painted on privately owned buildings with the permission of the owners. So, now that that's said, let's talk about some art.
That's such a cool, people coming from all over the world.
Yeah.
Makes that extra cool.
It really does kind of make Dubuque a focal point for people to come and express their artistic ability and have their art be enjoyed by anybody and everybody.
Yeah, and to have a variety of voices that are actually there performing the art as opposed to one person that does all the murals in town, which is what my hometown did. And there are a couple cool ones, just because they're mostly based on historical things that happened in that town. So it was a way, for example, there's this bar downtown where I grew up that the upstairs used to be a brothel.
Oh,
and so
that's really cool.
They had blocked out the windows of the upstairs because it's a different building now. What it's used for now is different, obviously.
I would assume so.
But they painted over the blocked out windows women, like women of the night, just standing there in their beautiful dresses,
Very cool.
So that's cool. But then the same guy also painted a We Never Forget 9/11 mural, which has nothing to do with my hometown. And doesn't really have a spot there, in my opinion.
No, it doesn't. One of the artists we are talking about is a local. She did grow up in Dubuque. But
that's very cool.
Yeah, her art is stunning. I mean, I almost wasn't going to feature her because she was a local, and then seeing her art and like what it represented just blew me away. So we will get to her, and I can't wait to talk about her because I love her art.
I'm excited.
So now let's get to the good stuff. I'm going to show you some murals, and I will describe them, and I want you to react. Ready?
Before we do that, where can people see these images themselves so they can kind of follow along with the podcast episode?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to post all the ones that we are talking about today on our Instagram and Facebook. And you are also always welcome to go to the Voices website and see all of them. They're all labeled as to where they are on the map. There are dozens. There's a map on their website. You can go look at the map and see where each one is located. I will also tell you during this podcast where each one is located as I'm talking about them.
Okay.
And obviously, we'll be posting them on social media in the order we're talking about, so you can follow along with us there.
Yeah, I think that's cool that people can hear us talk about it, but then also look at the art that we're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously, this is a much more visual subject than we usually talk about.
Yeah.
But
it's a bit of an experiment, but
we'll see if we can make this work.
How it goes. Yeah.
All right, well, ready?
Yes.
Let's go. All right.
Yay.
So you have the images pulled up and you're ready to go. So if you want to scroll to the first image as I describe it, that works.
Okay.
So the first artist I wanted to talk about is Miles Turner. He is a Midwest-based artist and focuses on large-scale drawings and murals. He has 2 murals, and while both are absolutely beautiful, I will only be talking about The Fate of Santa Clara. I chose this one because it appeals to my personal love of monsters, and I'm putting monsters in quotes because it is really just like looks like an old-timey map meets modern tattoo style, sort of. Lots of bright colors, different textures. It's really an interesting piece. So it takes up an entire side of the building with a yellow and brown checkerboard with blue waves that are somewhat reminiscent of the Great Wave of Kanagawa, which is a Japanese print. If you see it, you definitely recognize it.
That's the wood carving.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a name of a piece that I do off the top of my head. Like, I definitely looked this up. But that's what the waves remind me of. It's got that Japanese wood print style to it. Mm-hmm. And then Turner painted an orange and red squid or octopus. I always get them a little confused.
It's an octopus.
It's an octopus? Okay. So it's a red and orange octopus attacking an old wooden sailboat. So what are your thoughts on this image?
That is so cool. Well, first of all, the octopus is the best part of the entire artwork, in my opinion. I totally see where you get the Great Wave from it. Mm-hmm. And I love how the sails for the sailboat almost have like treasure maps painted on them.
Yeah, it almost looks like a topographical map on there.
With the X marks the spot.
Yeah. Like this is where the treasure is. I will add that this image is located at 1460 Central Avenue in Dubuque.
Okay.
So, yeah, I love the colors. I love the different shades of blue and how it creates that like cresting wave. It really looks like a very energetic scene. It has a lot of energy, a lot to look at. It has great movement.
Colored.
Yeah. It's got great movement. Colors. It really does remind me of like a kind of modern tattoo style a little bit too.
It does. Yeah. I mean, for actually every part of it, the wave, the octopi, and then the ship, all, I think I've seen tattoos of all of that. Yeah. They
really do kind of blend together in that modern meets classic style.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Not at all what I expected.
No, these pieces are wild. And these are just like, I think we're only talking about 5 of them today. And
that's so cool.
I will probably add some more onto our social media that I didn't have time to talk about, but absolutely, I cannot stress this enough. Go to the Voices website, Voices from the Warehouse website, and look at all of the art because every single artist is incredibly talented.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. The next image I want to talk about is by Christina Angelina, who goes by Starfighter. She's a visual artist out of Venice, California. She has worked with several mediums before getting into street art. She also has painted murals in Dubuque. She has multiple, is what I should have written there. She has, I think, at least 2, if not 3 in there. And I will be talking about her piece titled Young David. She does have another one titled Justice. I think they're on the same building because they're intermixed and they kind of work into each other, but I'm just going to talk about Young David in this one. But both images are located at 345 Main Street.
Okay.
So Young David is another mural that takes up an entire side of the building. It depicts what it is titled, which is a young boyish face of Michelangelo's David statue. It's painted in grays, blacks, whites with splashes of blue. There is a pyramid and a bird flying. The bird kind of looks like it's made out of water. It definitely looks like it's an ice bird melting, or it's like a bird that just happens to be made of water in that shape.
Well, to me it looks like, because his hand is kind of outstretched underneath it, it looks like he had a cup full of water and he threw it up and it formed a bird.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning.
It's very cool.
Yeah, the pyramids add like a nice shape to it.
It's very abstract, but not at all.
Yeah, it's abstract, but you know what you're looking at.
It's got a very Led Zeppelin album cover feel to it that I can really appreciate.
And I really like her use of the negative space of leaving the exposed brick in there and having it be part of the piece where it's not subtracting from it, but it's adding to it in its own different way.
Yeah, I mean, in this is a perfect picture because there was kind of like the blue sky with the clouds on his face, and then that was what the sky actually looked like when they took the photo.
Yeah. It's a really cool photo. Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ready for the next one? This one is the one I think you're really going to enjoy. The next artist I wanted to talk about is Shelby Frye. She's an artist from the Chicago area, and her primary focus has been painting and photography. I specifically wanted to draw attention to her mural titled Solidarity, which is located at 405 Main Street. Solidarity is beautiful. It's really a very inclusive image. This one might be a bit easier to describe because it is exactly what it sounds like. I found it to be really impactful, but it depicts 10 fists in a variety of skin tones with their fists in the air. What I truly loved about this one is that it includes so many different groups of people within it. Each fist has a different letter in it, spelling out the word solidarity on the wrists. And I love that Frye included people with vitiligo. Vitiligo. I can never, ever in my life pronounce that. Every time I never pronounce it right.
My friend Laura has it, and that's the only reason I know.
Yeah. It's vitiligo. So, again, it really does try and include everybody in it. And some of the letters actually represent different groups as well. There's an O that represents people in wheelchairs. The first I is a semicolon for brain health. The D is a rainbow for the LGBTQ. And the Y is a symbol representing the transgender community. So it's just a really beautiful piece. But I want to hear your thoughts.
I love it. I love that this exists in Iowa. And I especially love, the same as you, the inclusion of a person with vitiligo. Because that is a pretty misunderstood medical condition that people have, and this is a good conversation starter for people to ask questions and learn about that.
Yeah, and
so I do love that.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite part of it, is just seeing all the different skin tones, all the different groups represented in the letters.
Yeah, it's wonderful diversity.
Just the very inclusive. Yeah,
it's also really well done. Like, there's detail in the fingernails, and I mean, it's very well done, in addition to being really meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. It's just beautiful. Let's see. The next mural I want to talk about is a piece that is a collaboration between two artists. The first of which is, I think, Guerra Lozano out of Brooklyn, New York. For her street art, she goes by Guerra Loz. Her art is a lot of abstract, organic, geometric designs. She has collaborated with Wajari Alvarez, known as Work, a Mexican-born artist out of El Paso, Texas. His work draws from symbols, urbanization, language, and border culture, to name a few. The piece they collaborated on is called America Needs a Hug.
Boy,
and it's located at... I think the whole world needs a hug right now, but yeah, true. America needs a hug. Located at 1501 Central Avenue. Now, I have to say, I love all the ones that we talked about, but this one just, like, really pops for me. The colors alone are incredible, but the pattern of the red with two shards of blue and the geometric pattern where the red and the light blue chevrons alternate, and with the top points all touching and the dark blue squares and the diamonds fill in the negative space, kind of makes me think of like a fun floor tile. There's also pink flowers painted, only 3 that I can see, but they're mostly clustered at the bottom left. The image painted over it is what I can only describe as a eagle fireman carrying the Justice is Blind statue, but her eyes aren't covered and she's holding a lightning bolt. It's a pretty wild image.
Very meaningful. And I want to point out, this is just something that I recognize from my childhood in Iowa, because I grew up right next door to the county fair. I would spend a lot of time at the fair, and this geometric pattern that they use, I don't know if this is intentional, but this was very commonly used in quilting.
Okay.
Which has a pretty big history in Iowa, or pretty much all of the Midwest and the prairie lands. So I'm not sure if that was an intentional choice, but it is a great choice if it was an accident too.
I mean, either way.
Yeah, that's meaningful to me.
Really, yeah, I like that. I like that it brings in that quilting culture that is really popular in the Midwest.
Yeah, and the detailing on the wings.
Oh, the wings look incredible. The feathers are just very defined, but
with the shadow
beautiful.
Of the pink light. Beautiful.
Yeah, I love this one. I think it's just so cool. So, this is the last one we're going to talk about today. As I mentioned earlier, one of the people I'm going to talk about is a local, and that is Therese Mulgrew. She is from the area, grew up on a farm outside of Dubuque. Her artwork mainly focuses on portraiture and still lifes. She is from a family of artists and has created several murals in Dubuque, but this is the one I really wanted to cover because it is titled TJM Still Life, and it's located at 30 Main Street. This one is actually, seems kind of personal to her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to describe it myself. I'm going to quote her bio from the Voices production website. So here goes. Therese painted this mural on the Thomas J. Mulgrew building, named after her great-great-grandfather who built it to house his offices in 1915. To honor her family, she painted a still life depicting items often seen in her grandparents' home, Derby Grange, where the family frequently gathered. The items are a book, a glass of whiskey with her grandfather's initials engraved, a Pall Mall cigarette, and a daylily. And it really is beautifully executed still life.
Yeah, this is my favorite one.
This is my favorite one as well.
I
love all of them, but...
So I love the symbolism around America Needs a Hug, but this, the way she did shadow work, I feel like shadows are the hardest thing to do in art. At least they're the hardest thing for me to pull off. To make it look like they're going where they're supposed to go, to make it look natural and realistic, and this is just for me to even imagine that this is so good on the side of a fucking building is mind-blowing.
And it takes up a good chunk of the building.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
Plus the book is just perfectly weathered to look like an old book.
What was drawing me to this one was because I know how hard it is to paint glass, and I know how hard it is to get the structure of it properly on a small scale. But this is like the entire side of a building, and she did it so well that it looks like these items are actually sitting there.
Yeah, it looks like you could walk up and pick it up.
Yeah, it honestly looks like something you would see in a museum. The quality is astounding.
And this is the local.
Yeah,
because
this is the girl who grew up in the area.
I'm assuming that this is her in the photo.
I think so, but I can't confirm.
She's very young. I'm just impressed. I'm just so impressed.
She's an impressive artist.
And the smoke from the cigarette?
I know. It just like fades out at the right way, but it's dancing. It's in the shadow of the flower.
This is beautiful.
All of it. Yeah. She's a very talented artist. I had to cover this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look up some of these artists' work.
Yeah.
But
I will post a link. Yeah. I will be posting the link to the Voices website in our show notes and in our social media, anywhere that we're posting. I will be posting a link to the Voices Productions website because absolutely cannot encourage you enough. I know I've said it twice already, but third time, really nailing it in there. Go check it out. It was so hard to pick just 5 to cover. They were all so good.
Yeah, I'm excited to look at the other ones because the ones that you've selected are so... There's not a bad one in the bunch.
There's one of like all these factory workers that used to work in this one building that is now a brewery. There's one of RBG that was beautiful and she had a little halo. There were so many. It was so hard to pick. I literally I couldn't. Like I wanted to cover more. I really did.
I don't blame you.
I could talk about all of them.
It's great. This is great.
Yeah.
This is such a cool... I'm so surprised this is in Iowa. I'm so sorry to Iowa people that I'm just shading on it all the time. I
don't think that people from Iowa are not used to that. I'm assuming that people from Iowa are just used to being either forgotten or like shit on because nobody knows what goes on in Iowa. But clearly, people are sleeping on Iowa.
Yeah.
They're sleeping on Dubuque.
There's a lot of good things in Iowa. I just grew up there and it wasn't in a good place, so I shit on it all the time. But
don't sleep on Iowa.
The east side of the state in particular, like where Dubuque is, and along the river, is beautiful. It really is beautiful. Yeah. So... It
looks stunning, and I want to see these murals in person. I want to be able to see like the size and scale of them in person, because they're incredible. These artists are all incredible.
Someday when I leave my apartment again, we should plan on going there.
We'll take a trip to the Sovereign Territory Festival and then drive over to Dubuque.
It'll be our lives. When we do lives someday, we'll just go to all these towns.
The live episodes will just be us going to other places and recording privately somewhere.
And just be like, remember that time we talked about this
Yeah.
thing that we talked about already?
We're here. Remember all the way back in episode 3? Yeah. We're here. Cue time warp sequence.
That's funny.
But yeah, so that was Dubuque. I didn't know how easy it was going to be to find a cultural story. I know I had another person in mind to cover, this really cool photo muralist who was from Dubuque but didn't spend his whole life in Dubuque. And honestly, if I could spotlight some artists from all over the place, I absolutely will.
Well, and what a cool program, because I think one thing people forget about the Mississippi River especially, but all of the rivers in Iowa, is that they frequently flood. And the Mississippi River, all along the length of the Mississippi River, has been destroyed.
Yeah.
Because of the multiple floods, and cities have had to adapt. And that's why when they can reuse spaces, like you were talking about the warehouse district, and they can reuse spaces in a different way. And, you know, side note, there's also tons of parks along the Mississippi River, and that's why. It's because when it floods, it's not taking out a building, it's a park, and it's a lot easier for cleanup. But I just think it's so cool that this town, I don't know when this started, but that this is...
The Voices from the Warehouse originally started in 2005. These murals, I believe, started around 2016.
Okay, so it's fairly recently.
And they're still going. Yeah, they're still going.
I kind of judge everything in Iowa, like, before 1993 and the big floods of 1993 and after the big floods of 1993, because I don't remember experiencing any flooding until 1993, and then it kind of became pretty common after that.
Yeah.
So I think that, and maybe that's just because I was 12 and that was like when I became conscious of things. I don't really know. But
perhaps,
that was obviously one of the biggest ones ever. So I just think it's very cool that a relatively small city has something so cool, and it's not just a town that died because it flooded, like a lot of the cities along the river have.
And like you said, there are well over 20 murals.
And they're adding to it constantly, you would say.
They're always adding to it. Yeah,
So cool.
It hasn't stopped. It's such a cool program. It really does kind of help bring life to the businesses and the apartments that are in the building. It's just a cool way to use the space, and they get people from the local college to people from other countries to get involved. It's just drawn a lot of attention, and I want people to know. Yeah, Dubuque, Iowa.
I know.
Amazing murals.
That's so cool.
Who knew?
I love it. I love every part of it.
Yeah, this episode made me happy.
Yeah,
it was a
thank you
nice,
for
light,
teaching us
happy
about
one.
this.
You're welcome. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, I learned something
Do you
new today.
wanna see where we're going next week?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Why don't we spin the wheel?
Okay.
Yeah.
Doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo. Ooh, we're going somewhere I've been before.
Oh, where? Where are we going?
We're going to Flint, Michigan.
Ooh. Oh boy.
Yeah.
That will be a nice, light episode.
Well, I guess it depends on what topic we pick. Let's see.
All right.
Because
we have...
would be fine.
Let's see what the little baby face cup tells us where we're going. So, we have a number 9, which is a convention versus rebellion.
Well, I guess we all know what we're going to be talking about next week.
Yes. So, grab yourself a glass of water and let's go.
Yeah, clean water.
Clean water. Hashtag clean water for Flint.
Hashtag clean water for everyone.
Hashtag yes, please.
Hashtag this is the end of the episode.
Hashtag goodbye.
All right, well, I guess I'll meet you there.
Yeah, see you there.
All right, happy wandering.
Bye!
Thank you for listening to the Wandering Chronicles podcast with your hosts, Ashley and Jamie. You can follow us on social media at Wandering Chronicles Pod on TikTok Wandering Chronicles Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, or WND Chronicle Pod on Twitter. Or you can email us at wanderingchroniclespodcast@gmail.com. New episodes drop every Thursday. If you haven't already, please tell everyone you know to listen to our podcast. Your gynecologist, the head of the PTA at your kid's school, every single telemarketer that calls you, your postal worker, your veterinarian. I bet they listen to podcasts. Hey, thanks. Bye. I am an autonomous meat sack.